Hi guys, welcome back to the Makeup Hunter. Long time no see. I have just returned a couple of days ago from my 2-week holiday to Yorkshire. I am probably going to do a video upcoming where I talk about my trip, just have a little sort of chat and catch up about my adventures to Yorkshire. I also have a few bits and pieces that I bought while I was there that I'd like to share, and just a general catch up. But for today's video, I am going to be doing a shop my stash. I'm going to be showing you all the products that I picked to take with me to Yorkshire. You will have seen like a pack with me where I selected all these products, but I'm just going to give you like an update on how things went, how I enjoyed them, share a couple of looks that I did while I was away. Unfortunately, I didn't get many pictures of my makeup while I was away because of the lighting in the places that I was staying. So if all that sounds interesting, do please keep watching. Sorry I'm not on camera today. I am definitely not fit for human consumption. But yeah, I just wanted to get this one filmed. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a like, leave me a comment, and let's get on with the video. Firstly, I took this little sampler of Danessa Myricks Vision Flushes with me. That was good to have because I only took cream blushes with powder blushes with me. So for base products, I had my It Cosmetics CC cream in the shade Light. This was great to use towards the beginning of the holiday when I had a fresh tan because it was a slightly deeper shade for me. I love the It Cosmetics CC cream. I haven't really got a bad word to say about it. I am getting pretty low down on this one, so I should imagine I'll be using this one up pretty soon. I also pulled in one of my favourite foundations, the Fenty Beauty Hydrating Foundation. Now, I had a few issues with this foundation whilst I was away. The water in Yorkshire is completely different to the water in the Midlands. It's, I think, soft water where we were staying in comparison to hard water. And I found that my hair and my skin really did take a battering the first sort of week and a bit that I was away. My skin cleared up towards the end of the second week, but my hair really suffered. It dried my skin out really badly, it dried my hair out, and I got some breakouts which I never usually get. So for some reason this foundation, even though it is a hydrating formula, it really clung to all of the dry patches that I had on my skin, and I really did struggle to make it work. Eventually I did figure out a way to get this to look good on me by just using, I mixed it in my Glowish little sample that I took with me. I used a rich moisturiser and also the Smashbox Primerizer on top, and I only used sort of like a small sort of amount of it, and I did get it to work eventually. Here it's absolutely fine, but for some reason there it just wasn't working for me, so that was a bit of a shame. I have pretty much used up all of my Glowish sample. I've probably got enough for perhaps 1 or 2 more uses in here. I also took my NARS Sheer Glow with me, which was a foundation I'd had in my collection for quite a while and I'd never used, and this has quite fast become one of my favourite foundations. When the Fenty Hydrating Foundation didn't work for me, I switched to using this when I wanted to look a little bit more glammed up, and it's absolutely stunning. I do finally see what all the hype is about on this foundation, and I'm kind of reluctant to put this one back. I kind of feel like keeping it in for another rotation, but yeah, absolutely love that. Then obviously I had my Hollywood Flawless filter. I've come to adore this product, not as I initially intended on using it, which was under foundation, but actually to use as a highlight, as a liquid highlight. It is stunning. It's the most seamless, natural looking highlight, and it really does make your skin look like you've got a filter on it. I actually prefer glowish to mix in with my foundation, but I like using this as a cream highlight. And again, I'm very reluctant to put this back. I think this is one that I will probably just keep out as like a non-negotiable, because I really have come to fall in love with this product. For traditional primers, I had my Smashbox Primerizer in there. I didn't use it too many times. I was finding, because my skin was kind of acting up, I was trying to put as few products on my face as possible, so I was tending to just go in with my skincare, forego primer, and then go straight in with my foundation. But this really did rescue me when I was having my super dry skin issues. I can see why people like Alana Davidson rave about this. It doesn't feel like anything, it just feels like a very light lotion when you're putting it on, but it really does pack a punch with hydration, and foundation just sits beautifully on top of it. So I'm still going strong on my travel size one. I'm not ready to purchase a full size one of this yet, but I do see me picking up a full size when I've used all of this one up. And then I also put in my little sample of Dior Backstage Face and Body Primer, which I had been wanting to sort of buy the full size of, but I'm actually really glad that I didn't, because I don't like this primer on me. As I said, I was having issues with dry skin whilst I was away. I have dry skin anyway, but it was even worse whilst I was in Yorkshire. And this is quite a mattifying product. It is a beautiful primer. I think if you've got oily or combination skin, this would be impeccable for you. But as soon as you put it on, you can see it sort of mattifies any shine that you have on your skin. It's very blurring. I did find it was quite pore filling, and the only way I found that I could use it was mix it in conjunction with my primerizer. So I would put this in very targeted areas, like where I would use my e.l.f. putty primer, so on my nose and down the sides of my nose and around my mouth, and then I'd use this everywhere else on my skin. But if I just use this one on its own all over my face, it just looked way too matte and drying. So not one that I think I would ever rush out and buy. I have primers that I prefer so much more. And then I also took my travel size of the Benefit the Porefessional Supersetter spray. I have used quite a lot of this. I'm down to about here now, and I think when this runs out I probably would buy a full size. It really does improve the longevity of my makeup. It helps blend all the powders in, and it's just quite perfecting. So I do really like this, and it's something that I think I would like to buy travel sizes of again, because it's just so handy not having to take a massive like setting spray away with you. Cream bronzer, I took my Chanel bronzer with me. I only used this a couple of times. I was having a bit of a love affair with my Benefit Hoola bronzers that I took with me. And it just, because I was doing makeup that I needed to last all day and last through all weathers, I was preferring to stick to my powder products. But I absolutely love this. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I just didn't use it as much as I thought I would. And then let's move on to this part, like powders and things. I have discovered a newfound love for my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. this was one I had only used once since I got it in January, and I hadn't used it since, and putting it in for this holiday was the best decision, because as you can see, I've made a serious dip in there. This is beautiful for under the eyes and around the mouth and nose. I think the reason I didn't like it first, when I first got it, was because I remember saying it's just a powder. I don't see what's so good about it, because it just is a standard powder. But I think the trick to this powder is using a very small fluffy brush. I actually use an eyeshadow blending brush to apply this, and just in those targeted areas, like round under my eyes, down the sides of my nose, round my mouth, and across my forehead above my brows. It's quite mattifying, blurring, and it really does stay where you put it. So I didn't find that I was getting oily throughout the day in those areas. It's a beautiful, beautiful powder. The only thing is, as you can see, I've used this pretty much every day for 2 weeks, only in those very small areas, as I've mentioned, and I'm very close to hitting pan on it. So I've heard a few people say that these powders don't last very long, and I can now see that for myself. You know, if I was using just this powder every day, I would get through several compacts a year. So really enjoyed it, and glad that I've sort of discovered my love for it. I took my darker shade of my Dior Powder No Powder. Absolutely love this for all over my face. I do have a lighter shade for under my eyes, but using these two together was like the perfect, you know, match made in heaven. I had a mattifying powder for under my eyes, and then this to just help blur everything and give me a bit of a glow. I do absolutely love this powder. I took highlights, my Revlon Skin Lights. This was the one that I pretty much used exclusively. I use this pretty much every time I did my makeup. The only times that I didn't use it was a couple of times when I just used my Hollywood Flawless filter. A couple of times I used this and then layered this over the top of it, and then I used my Christian Dior Luminizer in the shade number 4. I only used this once, maybe twice while I was away, but absolutely love both of them. Don't have a bad thing to say about either of them, but this Skin Lights is just the perfect shade. It just goes with absolutely anything. It can be quite icy on first application, but when you like buff it into your skin and really polish those pearls, it just melds in and just looks like one with your skin. So I really did enjoy that. And then bronzers, powder bronzers, I took both my matte Hoola and my Hoola Glow. Sorry, I was resting my ring light and tripod on Ray, and he's just moved and knocked everything. So I have fallen back in love with Benefit Hoola. This is just the perfect bronzing shade. It's very neutral, not too warm, not too cool, so you can contour with it as well as bronze with it. And it's just a no frills, no fuss bronzer, and this was the one that I pretty much used every day. I used when I was going out and wanted to look a little bit more, you know, put together or dressed up. I used Hoola Glow, and this is exactly the same as Hoola. It's that perfect neutral tone, but it's just got a lovely natural glow to it. It's not glittery or shimmery, it just has a soft radiance to it, and it's so pretty. So I'm really glad I decided to take both of those with me. And then blushes, I took... Keep still, Bubba. You're keeping everything together here. You're my assistant. If you move, the whole thing falls apart. Okay? Okay? Good boy. I took with me my Vive Sorbet Blush. This is a beautiful, healthy coral, like bright, punchy coral shade. Really love this blush. Used it a few times, but the blush that I could not stop wearing was my Huda Beauty Glowish Blush in the shade Berry Juicy. This is a gorgeous formula. It's super buildable, really easy to blend. It has a lovely natural radiance to it. Absolutely love. I also took my Becca blushed copper with me. This is a really lovely shimmery blush that's really nice for sort of special occasions, or when you want to look a little bit more glam and glowy. And I better explain the leaf. As I was getting ready the morning that we were leaving Yorkshire, because the lighting was so bad in the static caravan that we were staying in my bedroom, I had to get ready in front of my window. And on the last day, I was sat by the window with the window only open a tiny bit. It wasn't open all the way or anything like that. And as I was getting ready, this leaf, which was completely perfect, no holes or anything like that, blew into the window and landed on top of my makeup. And call me crazy, call me sentimental, I just saw it as a little message that, you know, to come back soon, because, well, I'll explain more in an upcoming video, but I've completely fallen in love with Yorkshire and felt totally at home there. And I was really sad the morning that we were leaving, and this just flew into the window, and it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like a nice little message, so I kept it. I probably sound like an absolute crazy person, but there you go. Eyeshadow palettes that I took with me. I took my Huda Beauty Wild Jaguar palette. Oh god, this palette is amazing. Every time I used it whilst I was away, I wore it when we travelled down there. It was the first palette that I used. I wore it on that night that I wanted to look a bit more glamorous. It is just an incredibly beautiful palette. The shimmer formula is out of this world, so multi-dimensional and reflective, and every time I used it I just felt so sexy, smoky, glam. So I love this palette, and I'm so glad that my mum convinced me to pick it up. And then I took both my Stigma Ivy and Stigma Hazy palettes. Love the Stigma Ivy palette. This was what I used when I wanted a more neutral look. On the last day I did this green, just, you know, giving me a bit of a pop with this colour as well. It's a gorgeous formula. I've talked before about Sigma's formula. I haven't got a bad word to say about it. Same with the Hazy palette. This was a nice cool toned option, and actually I quite enjoyed mixing the Wild Jaguar and the Sigma Hazy palette. Similarly, I also took my Natasha Denona new Mini Metropolis and Mini Star palette, and I really enjoyed mixing both of these together and also mixing them both with the Stigma Ivy palette. I actually used the Metropolis palette probably the most out of any of the palettes that I took with me, and also loved my Mini Glam palette. Mascaras, I took my Kevyn Aucoin The Volume, and then my 3 little samples. Eyeliners, I took my Feline Flick from Charlotte Tilbury and my 2 NYX Epic Wear, the olive and the brown. Used them every time I did my makeup. Lovely formula. Lip liners, I took my 3 Charlotte Tilbury. I've got Iconic Nude, Pillow Talk and Pillow Talk Intense. Used all of these, but the one that I wore the most was Pillow Talk. Really love those, love the formula. Sealers, I took my Nabla and my Jouer. concealer with me. Lipsticks. So I took my 3 babies with me, my Natasha Denona I Need Nude Lipsticks. I've got the shades Maria, which has become my all-time favourite lipstick. Wore this several times. I also have come to fall in love with the shade Beatrice, which is like a pale pinky brown. Wore that. Probably wore these 2 more than any other lip product that I took with me. I also took the shade Charlotte, which is like a pukey brown colour, but it actually looks really gorgeous on. And then I also had with me, am I missing? Oh no, I'm not. So I took with me Secret Salma, which I wore the night that I got glammed up. This is gorgeous and I felt really sexy in this lip colour. And then I also took Pillow Talk, the original Pillow Talk. I'm not sure whether I wore this or not. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I wore it at least once. But yeah, gorgeous lipstick. Definitely lives up to the hype. I used my Jewelgasm balm a few times. Absolutely love that. I think she should make them permanent. And I also used my Christian Dior lipstick in the shade OC. I used this once. It's a very cool toned pink, and I was going for more of a nude lip while I was away, but I did use it once and I love the formula. Dior makes some of my favourite lipsticks. And then I also took my Christian Dior lip oil in the shade Cherry. Wore this a couple of times. It's so gorgeous on its own as a lip treatment or over a lipstick. Okay guys, so as in my previous Shop My Stash, I'm just going to do a little impromptu haul with you rather than do a separate video hauling new products. I've only got 4 items here. I have ordered another 4, but they haven't arrived yet and they may not be here for some time. The first item that I picked up is the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. So this is her newest eyeshadow palette, and it's a lovely cool toned pink and purple palette, like a lavender palette. So this is going in for my Shop My Stash rotation. Another Huda Beauty item, well, that spoiler alert, they're all Huda Beauty items. I'm having a bit of a Huda Beauty obsession at the moment, and this has been on my wish list for a while. Kept going back and forth over it, but I finally decided to pick up the Naughty Nudes palette. I have her new Nudes palette, and since trying her newer formula in the Wild Jaguar palette, I absolutely knew I wanted to pick this one up. I couldn't resist sticking my finger into this really weird, like, petri dish looking shade, which there's one in the Rose Quartz palette as well. They are different, and I actually quite like them. Shocker, I really didn't think I would, but they're very different. They provide a different texture, so that's also going in my rotation. And then another one of the Wild collection, which really was never one I was interested in. It was originally exclusive to Huda's website and exclusive to ASOS here in the UK, and I picked it up from there with these other items when ASOS had 20% off everything. I really love this colour story, and since trying the Wild Jaguar palette and the formula of those shadows, I just knew I would pick this up. I could wear this colour story every single day of my life and not get bored. So pick that one up. And then finally I picked up another glowish blush after enjoying the Berry Juicy one so much. I picked up the shade Caring Coral. I also have on my wish list the shade Charming Cherry, which is a cherry red colour, but I thought it was be a little bit too similar to Berry Juicy, so I went for Caring Coral. So that is going in for this rotation. One thing I forgot to mention in my roundup was my Gucci Balm Essential in the shade Peggy Taupe. Used this a couple of times. It's just a lovely go with anything kind of nude. Not sure how well the colour will show up, but yeah, really lovely formula, and used it a few times. So for base products, for primer, I think I am going to go back to some Old Faithfuls, and I'm going to go to my Niard Photography Fluid Opacity 12%. This is just a lovely like highlighting primer, very much like the Hollywood Flawless filter, only more of sort of, it doesn't have any coverage or tint to it. It's just like a white highlighting fluid, but it looks like you've got an Instagram filter on your skin. So I'm going to go for that one again. And then I'm also going to go for more of a kind of an everyday basic. I think I'm going to go for my Illamasqua Hydra Veil. This is that like clear jelly primer. And these are two of the older primers that I've got in my collection that I kind of want to get as much use out of as possible before they expire. For concealer, I've kept my Nabla concealer. I think I'm going to leave it at the Nabla, but I am going to put in my Becca Under Eye Brightener. So those will be it for primers and concealers. Everything is falling. For foundation, I'm going to be a little bit brave and try and break away from my usuals, and I'm going to go for my Clinique Beyond Perfecting, which is one of my favourite foundations. I had it in a recent rotation, but it is one of the older products in my collection, and it's like a good full coverage option for if I want to be like super glam. But I'm also going to take, because I haven't used it yet, my Flower Beauty Light Illusion for a lighter coverage option. And then because that's quite a pale shade, I'm obviously going to keep that little sample of Glowish in until I've used that up. When I run out of that one, I'll probably pull in my full-size Glowish in the shade number 5 medium. I think those two foundations are going to be enough, because obviously I've got the Glowish, and I've also kept in my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter. Oh, actually, no, I do want another one. I'm going to put in my Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh tint, because this is beautiful on its own, and it's also gorgeous underneath foundation as a primer. So that'll be it for this drawer. Okay, now we're on to powders and cream, blush and bronzer. Now, it's very hard to put back my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless powder, because I've come to really enjoy that powder. But I am going to give some of my older products a bit of love this time round, which I really need to do across the board. So for straight away, before I go on to powder, cream bronzer, I'm definitely going to go back to my Hoola Quickie Contour. This was in my project pan that I'm no longer doing, but this is all I have left of this product, and I would really like to get that used up. So I'm going to pull that one back in. For powders, right, let's go back to powders now. For under my eyes, I think I'm going to What shall I use for under my eyes? One of my older powders is my Chanel powder, which I really love this powder. I think I'll go for that for under my eyes, and then for all over my face I think I'm going to give another older product a try that I haven't used, which is my MAC. This is a, mind you, it's still sealed, so no, I want to this is what I'm going to use because I've only got a little bit of it left. My YSL Soufflé d'Eclat powder. I love this powder and I've been hanging on to the last little bit of it, but I might as well get it used up and move it out of my collection, so I'm going to use that. I think that's all I'm going to take for powders at the moment. It's so tempting to pull in like my new favourites, like my Glowish or my Dior or my Armani, but I think I'm going to give those two older ones a bit of love. As far as cream blush is concerned, I think I'm just going to put this Vision Flush sampler back because obviously it's open and I'm just conscious of it's being messy and expiring, so I'm just going to put that in. I'm not going to put any of my other cream blushes in for now, so that's all I'm going to take out of that one. Okay, so for my powder blush and powder bronzer drawer, I've put back the things that were already in my bag. So I'm going to be having in my new Glowish blush that I've already talked about in the shade Caring Coral, and I know this is really am I? No, I'm not. I was going to pull back in my other Glowish blush, but I'm not going to do it. I've just had it in for 2 weeks, so I'm just going to have obviously that one. Blusher, bronzer, sorry, powder bronzer. I want my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is the bronzer slash contour and highlight, so I'm going to have that in as my powder bronzer option, and I think I'm only going to take the one powder bronzer this time. And for blushes, I'm not going to take too many, but I am going to, so I've got the coral one, and I think I want more of some more wintry colours, so let's go for I'm just thinking of the eyeshadow palette colours that I've got in. So I want something that's going to go with cool tones and something that's going to go with warm tones. So this is difficult for me. This might be a good option. This is one that I always forget about, but it's one of my favourite little self-made palettes. So it's got the two blushes and the highlight. The highlight is like a pinky toned highlight, and then I've got the matte coral blusher and then the illuminating coral blusher, although I've already got that coral blush from Huda Beauty. So no, maybe not that one this time. Let's think of another option. Let's go for Urban Decay Bittersweet. This will be nice for my cool toned looks. That noise you can hear is Ray getting himself comfortable, so just ignore that. And then what else shall we go for? let's go for some MAC. Right, let's go for Love Thing, which is a mineralised blush. So we've got a cool tone blush, a go with anything, and a go with anything coral, and I think that is plenty. So that'll be it for this drawer. Okay, so now we are on to my powder and cream highlight drawer, and in here I've had to put some overspill eyeshadow palettes. So the ones that I've been using are going to go in here, as well as my Vive Muse palette. So I've already got the highlighter that's in my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow, and I think I'm also going to take a highlighting palette, as I really don't give my highlighting palettes, like my face palettes, much love at all, really. So I think I'm going to take this one, which is an Ofra palette, which has got 3 of their sort of most popular shades in, and I think I'm just going to stick that in and get some use out of that. So I've got that Charlotte Tilbury one, and I've also got the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, the cream one. So that is going to be way more highlighters than I need, but I do want to get some use out of like my face palettes. So that will be it for this drawer. Okay, so I've pulled over sort of 2 miscellaneous drawers. I haven't taken you to any of my palettes or my single shadows other than what is in this small container, because I've got the new Huda Rose Quartz, the Naughty Nudes and the Wild Tiger palette, which is going to be more than enough shadows for me. But what I am conscious of is those palettes have got a lot of super reflective, multi-dimensional shimmers in them, and what I want is something that's perhaps a little bit more subdued for like an everyday basis. So I think what I'm going to do for that, my Natasha Denona palettes are the same. The shimmers are super reflective and, you know, multi-dimensional. I don't really want to pull any more powder shadows, so I'm just going to take a couple of cream shadows. So I've got the Smashbox Always Ons, and I've got my Danessa Myricks Colour Fixes. So let's have a look at those. So I think I'm going to take my Danessa Myricks Colour Fix in the shade Nude 7, which will be a great like one and done shade. And also the shade Celebration, which is a metallic, but it's quite a subtle metallic, so I'm going to take that one as well. And I'm also going to take Smashbox Always On in the shade Sienna. So I've got those 3 cream shadows, and I think that's going to be enough in the way of eye colour products other than liners. For brows, I'm going to keep my Anastasia Dip Brow, and I'm going to take my Milk Kush Fibre Gel. I'm just going to take my Paint Pot from MAC in the shade Camel Coat. That'll go with both of the cool tones and the warm tones that I've chosen. Mascaras, I'm going to stick to the samples that I've been using, but I'm just going to throw in my It Cosmetics Superhero mascara to sort of get some more use out of that one. Setting spray, I'm going to take my I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury that I had to decant because the bottle broke, and I'm just conscious of that expiring because obviously it's not in the original bottle that it was meant to be in, so I'm going to use that one. Now all that's left to look at is lip products. I am going to take a couple from this one, I think. So I'm going to take some of my L'Oreal's. So I'm still on a bit of a nude kick, so let's go for what have we got? So let's go for Nude 235. And we'll go for Eva, which is more of a peachy nude. And I can't help myself, I've got to put in Natasha Denona, I Need a Nude in the shade Maria. I just cannot get past my love for that lipstick at the moment. So that's three sort of like nudie colours. I'm gonna take something a bit more pink, more cool toned. So I think I'm actually just going to keep in the Dior OC, because I didn't really use that as much as I would have liked to while I was away. And I'm also going to keep in Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. Rather than go through my collection and pull more from there, I'm just going to go for those. I also changed my mind a little bit with some of the lip products. So I put back the Dior OC lipstick because that's brand new and I've just had it in for 2 weeks. And I also put back Pillow Talk because again that's a newer one and I've just had it in for 2 weeks. As much as I wanted to keep them both in, I really need to rotate through my products. So to replace those pinky tones, I pulled the shade Mare from MAC, which is a lovely sort of nude rose pink, I would call it. And then I also picked the shade Heartless from Urban Decay, which is one of their old Vice lipsticks. I've never used this one, I've only swatched it, so I thought that would be a nice like light cool toned pink to go with the Rose Quartz palette. And then I also threw in another nude option. One of my favourite lipsticks is the shade 474, I think it's Daylight from Chanel. So this is a slightly different nude tone than the ones that I've picked. It's a bit deeper than Maria from Natasha Denona, so I've got that one. And then for a gloss option, I forgot to show me picking my gloss, but I've gone for the Colourpop Luxe Gloss in the shade Figgy with it, which I thought it's quite sheer, but it'd go nice with Rose Quartz palette or just on its own. These are quite a nice formula. And then other lip products that I didn't mention that will be stopping in here are my Revolution lip scrub, my Dior mini lip maximizer, and I'm also just going to keep in my Jewelgasm balm because I do like this on days when I don't really know what to put on my lips. I sort of wear it like a balm and it sort of adapts to the pH of your lips, so it looks really pretty with a lip liner or on its own. So I am going to keep those in as just like everyday products. So that's everything that's going in there. guys, so that's everything for this Shop My Stash. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. I feel as though, like every Shop My Stash, it was a bit chaotic, and there's some of the products that I've chosen that I'm kind of second guessing myself over, but we'll see how I actually get on when it comes to wearing the products. So again, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for sticking with me until the end. Please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It means the absolute world. Love you lots. I'll see you in my next video. Keep loving yourself, keep loving each other, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.